My husband tried to convince me I was losing my mind so he could lock me in a psychiatric hospital and collect $1.4 million in life insurance. His partner in this plan was my own therapist, the woman I trusted with my darkest secrets, the woman who was sleeping with him for 2 years while I paid her $200 an hour to fix my broken brain. I caught them both on camera, and I made sure they lost everything. Let me start from the beginning because I need you to understand how perfect the trap was. My name is Sloan, I'm 33 years old, and I was married to a man named Marcus for 10 years. We met in college at NYU, got married at 23, and built what I thought was a beautiful life together. He was a successful investment advisor at a private wealth management firm. I was a freelance graphic designer with my own small studio. We had a townhouse in Brooklyn worth $1.8 million, a joint savings account with $340,000, and a golden retriever named Biscuit. From the outside, we were the couple everyone envied. From the inside, I was slowly being erased. The strange things started happening in March 2023, about 14 months ago. At first, they were small, almost laughable. I would put my keys on the hook by the door and find them in the freezer. I would leave my laptop on my desk and discover it in the bedroom closet. I would set my phone on the kitchen counter and it would end up in my coat pocket. I told myself I was stressed, overworked, distracted. Marcus was so understanding. He would find my keys in strange places and bring them to me with a sympathetic smile. "You've been working too hard, babe," he would say. "Maybe you need to slow down." He was so gentle about it. So concerned. So perfectly, calculatedly kind. I was being conditioned like a lab rat and I didn't even know it. By May, the incidents had escalated. I would have conversations with Marcus that he claimed never happened. I would tell him about plans we made and he would look at me with worried eyes and say, "Sloan, we never talked about that. Are you feeling okay?" I would remember things clearly, vividly, down to what I was wearing when we discussed them. He would shake his head slowly and suggest I was confusing dreams with reality. I started writing things down in a notebook, desperate to prove to myself that I wasn't crazy. One day the notebook disappeared. Marcus found it a week later in the garage, behind a box of Christmas decorations. "Honey," he said, "I'm really getting worried about you." The notebook didn't walk itself to the garage, but at the time I believed it did. In July, Marcus suggested I see a therapist. He had already done the research, already found someone who came highly recommended, already made the first appointment for me. Her name was Dr. Vanessa Holbrook, a licensed psychologist with an office in Manhattan. She specialized in anxiety, depression, and dissociative disorders. Marcus drove me to my first appointment and kissed my forehead in the parking lot. "I just want you to get better," he said. "I love you so much." I walked into that office thinking my husband was my greatest supporter. I didn't know I was walking into the second jaw of the trap. Dr. Vanessa was warm, professional, and attentive. She had honey brown hair and a calm voice that made me feel safe. She took detailed notes during our sessions. She asked about my childhood, my marriage, my work, my stress levels. She nodded sympathetically when I told her about the keys and the laptop and the conversations that never happened. She never once suggested that someone might be doing these things to me. Instead, she gently guided me toward a different conclusion. "Sloan," she said during our fourth session, "have you ever been evaluated for bipolar disorder? Sometimes memory gaps and confusion can be symptoms of a manic episode." I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? She was a licensed professional, and my husband had found her specifically to help me. They were working together from the very first session. The diagnosis came in September. Dr. Vanessa told me I was showing signs of bipolar II disorder with possible psychotic features. She prescribed medication, a mood stabilizer and an antipsychotic. I took the pills every morning like a good patient. I didn't know that the antipsychotic she prescribed had side effects that included confusion, memory problems, and dissociation. She was medicating me into the exact symptoms she was diagnosing. Every week I got a little worse. Every week, Marcus documented my decline. Every week, I moved closer to the hospital bed they had prepared for me. I was being buried alive in a diagnosis I didn't deserve. The pills made me foggy. I had trouble concentrating on my design work. I lost 2 clients in October because I missed deadlines I didn't remember agreeing to. Marcus took over our finances because I kept forgetting to pay bills. He moved $120,000 from our joint savings into an account I didn't have access to, telling me it was for safekeeping, until I got better. He canceled my credit cards because I was making erratic purchases I couldn't recall. He was stripping away my independence piece by piece, and I thanked him for taking care of me. I actually thanked him. The breaking point came on November 15, 2023. I woke up at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom and noticed Marcus wasn't in bed. This wasn't unusual. He often worked late on his laptop in the living room. But something made me pause at the top of the stairs. I heard him talking, his voice low and intimate in a way I hadn't heard in months. I crept down 3 steps and listened. He was on the phone and he was laughing softly. "She took the medication tonight," he said. "Yeah, she's completely out of it. Another few weeks and we can file the commitment papers. Dr. Holbrook says she'll sign off on involuntary psychiatric hold for at least 90 days. There was a pause and then he said something that turned my blood to ice. "I miss you too, baby. Soon we'll be together. Just be patient. The life insurance payout takes about 6 weeks after she's declared mentally incompetent." I stood frozen on those stairs, my hand gripping the railing so hard my knuckles went white. I understood everything in that moment. The missing keys. The disappeared notebook. The conversations that never happened. The therapist who diagnosed me with a disorder I didn't have. The pills that made me confused. The money he moved. The credit cards he canceled. It was all connected. It was all designed. My husband and my therapist were planning to lock me away and steal everything I had, including my sanity. I almost threw up right there on the stairs. Instead, I controlled myself. I walked back to bed silently. I lay there until morning with my eyes closed, pretending to sleep, while Marcus slipped in beside me at 4 a.m. smelling like a cologne he didn't own. The next day, I stopped taking the medication. I hid the pills under my tongue and spit them out when Marcus left the room. The fog started to lift within 72 hours. My mind sharpened. My memory came back. And I started to plan. I didn't confront them. Confrontation would have given them time to cover their tracks. Instead, I became an actress in my own life, playing the role of the confused, declining wife while I gathered evidence behind the scenes. I bought 6 small cameras from a tech store in New Jersey, paying cash so there would be no credit card trail. I installed them throughout the house when Marcus was at work. 1 in the living room, 1 in the kitchen, 1 in the bedroom, 1 in his home office, 1 in the garage, 1 at the front door. The cameras were wireless and connected to a cloud server Marcus didn't know existed. Every night, I downloaded the footage onto an encrypted hard drive I kept in a safety deposit box at a bank in Queens. The cameras captured everything. They captured Marcus moving my keys from the hook to the freezer. They captured him hiding my laptop in the closet. They captured him on the phone with Dr. Vanessa Holbrook, calling her baby and sweetheart, discussing my treatment plan and their future together. They captured him practicing concerned expressions in the bathroom mirror before coming to check on me. They captured him laughing about how easy I was to manipulate. One night, the bedroom camera captured him standing over me while I pretended to sleep, whispering, "Just a few more weeks, Sloan. Just a few more weeks and you'll be gone." I saved every second of footage. By December 15th, I had 43 hours of evidence. But I wanted more. I wanted to know how deep the conspiracy went. So I did something risky. I went through Marcus's home office while he was at a holiday party. I found a folder in his locked desk drawer. A folder labeled SH Project. Sloan Hartley. My initials. Inside, I found documents that made my hands shake. There was a life insurance policy worth $1.4 million, taken out in my name 18 months earlier, listing Marcus as the sole beneficiary. There were printed emails between Marcus and Dr. Vanessa planning the timeline of my commitment. There was a draft of a petition for involuntary psychiatric commitment, already signed by Dr. Vanessa, just waiting for a date. There was a real estate listing for a beach house in Costa Rica. And there was a handwritten note in Dr. Vanessa's handwriting that said, "Once she's declared incompetent, power of attorney transfers to you. We liquidate everything within 60 days. I love you." They were going to lock me in a hospital, take my money, and disappear to Costa Rica. I photographed every document with a camera I bought specifically for this purpose. I put everything back exactly as I found it. I went home and pretended to be confused about where I had been for the past 2 hours. Marcus stroked my hair and said, "It's okay, honey. This is why you need help." I smiled and agreed with him. Inside, I was counting down the days until I destroyed him. January 8, 2024 was supposed to be the day they committed me. Marcus had scheduled a family intervention at Dr. Vanessa's office. He told me it was a special therapy session to help us communicate better. He invited my mother, my sister, and 2 of our closest friends. He wanted witnesses to my breakdown. He wanted people who would testify that I was unstable, that I needed help, that committing me was the only option. He had scripted the entire event like a play, and I was supposed to be the tragic final act. I played along. I let him drive me to the office. I let him hold my hand in the waiting room. I let Dr. Vanessa welcome us into her large corner office, where my family and friends sat in a semicircle of chairs. Marcus had tears in his eyes as he began to speak. "Sloan has been struggling for months," he said. "She's having memory problems. She's confused. She's not the woman I married. Dr. Holbrook and I have discussed options, and we believe she needs intensive inpatient treatment. I've already made arrangements at a facility upstate." My mother was crying. My sister looked horrified. My friends held each other's hands. They all believed him. They all thought I was broken. I stood up slowly. Everyone looked at me with pity. Dr. Vanessa had her pen ready to sign the commitment papers. Marcus reached for my hand, ready to comfort his poor, crazy wife. I pulled away from him and smiled. "Before we continue," I said, "I'd like to show everyone something." I pulled out my phone and connected it to the Bluetooth speaker on Dr. Vanessa's desk. I had edited the footage into a 15-minute highlight reel. I pressed play. The room went silent. They watched Marcus move my keys to the freezer. They watched him practice concerned faces in the mirror. They watched him on the phone with Dr. Vanessa, calling her baby, planning my commitment. They watched him whisper over my sleeping body. They watched Dr. Vanessa discuss the timeline, the life insurance, the Costa Rica house. They heard her say, "Once she's declared incompetent, we liquidate everything." They saw the SH project folder. They saw the petition for commitment. They saw the love note. My mother's crying stopped. My sister's mouth fell open. My friends stared at Marcus like they had never seen him before. Dr. Vanessa stood up from her desk, her face pale, her hands trembling. Marcus didn't move. He sat frozen in his chair, watching his entire plan collapse on a 6-inch phone screen. "I'm not crazy," I said. "I was never crazy. My husband and my therapist have been gaslighting me for 14 months. They drugged me, isolated me, stole my money, and planned to lock me in a psychiatric facility so they could collect $1.4 million in life insurance and run away together. I have 43 hours of video evidence and photographs of every document. The police are waiting outside." 2 detectives entered the office on cue. I had called them that morning and given them a preview of the evidence. They arrested Marcus on charges of fraud, conspiracy, and attempted theft. They arrested Dr. Vanessa on charges of medical malpractice, conspiracy, and filing false psychiatric documents. Both of them were handcuffed in front of my mother, my sister, and my friends. Marcus tried to talk his way out of it. He said there had been a misunderstanding, that the videos were edited, that I was manipulating everyone. The detective looked at him with disgust and said, "Sir, we've already verified the metadata. These videos are authentic. You have the right to remain silent." Dr. Vanessa didn't say anything. She just stared at me with hatred so pure it could have melted steel. I stared back and felt nothing. She had heard my secrets, my fears, my vulnerabilities. She had used them against me to break my mind. She deserved every second of what was coming. The legal process took 7 months. Marcus was charged with 12 counts of fraud, 3 counts of conspiracy, 2 counts of attempted grand larceny, and 1 count of filing false insurance claims. Dr. Vanessa was charged with 8 counts of medical malpractice, 3 counts of conspiracy, and 1 count of forgery. Both of them hired expensive lawyers. Both of them tried to plea bargain. The prosecutor refused. She told me this was one of the most calculated cases of domestic abuse she had ever seen. In August 2024, Marcus accepted a plea deal. 8 years in state prison, no parole for 4 years. Dr. Vanessa's trial went to verdict in September. She was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to 6 years in prison. Her medical license was permanently revoked. The New York State Psychology Board issued a public statement condemning her actions. She lost everything. Her practice, her reputation, her freedom. I filed for divorce while Marcus was awaiting trial. My lawyer was a shark named Elena who specialized in cases involving financial abuse. She subpoenaed every account Marcus had touched. She traced the $120,000 he stole from our joint savings. She found another $89,000 he had hidden in a brokerage account under his brother's name. She discovered $34,000 in cash he had sent to Dr. Vanessa over the past 2 years, payments for her services in destroying his wife. The total amount he stole or misappropriated was $243,000. The divorce was finalized in October 2024. I got the townhouse, the full $340,000 from our restored joint savings, the $243,000 Marcus had stolen, and $180,000 in punitive damages. Marcus's assets were liquidated to pay his legal fees and my settlement. Dr. Vanessa was ordered to pay $75,000 in civil damages for medical malpractice. I walked away from a 10-year marriage with $838,000 and a house I planned to sell because I couldn't stand the sight of those walls anymore. I moved to a new apartment in Manhattan in November. I bought new furniture, adopted a cat named Wednesday, and started seeing a new therapist who I found on my own and vetted obsessively before our first session. Her name is Dr. Patricia, and she has helped me understand what Marcus and Vanessa did to me. Gaslighting is a form of psychological torture. It makes you doubt your own perceptions, your own memories, your own sanity. Victims of gaslighting often develop anxiety, depression, and PTSD. I have all three. Some days I still check my keys 3 times to make sure I know where they are. Some nights I still wake up convinced someone is standing over my bed. The healing is slow, but it's happening. I'm rebuilding my design business. I have 3 new clients and a waiting list for next year. I joined a support group for survivors of domestic abuse, and I share my story with women who are going through similar experiences. Some of them don't believe they're being abused because there are no bruises. I tell them what my therapist told me. Abuse doesn't always leave marks on your skin. Sometimes it leaves marks on your mind. Marcus writes me letters from prison. He says he's sorry. He says he was influenced by Vanessa. He says he never meant to hurt me. I don't read them anymore. I just send them back unopened. His apologies mean nothing. They're just more manipulation, more performance, more lies wrapped in pretty words. I spent 10 years believing his words. I'm done now. Dr. Vanessa never apologized. I didn't expect her to. She's a narcissist who saw me as an obstacle to what she wanted. I was just a woman standing between her and $1.4 million. She would have signed me into a psychiatric hospital without blinking. She would have watched me lose my mind for real, and she would have gone to Costa Rica and ordered a margarita on the beach. People like her don't apologize because they don't think they did anything wrong. My family has been incredibly supportive since the truth came out. My mother calls me every day to check in. My sister flew from California to help me move into my new apartment. My friends who witnessed the intervention have apologized 1,000 times for almost believing Marcus. I told them there's nothing to apologize for. He fooled me for 10 years. He fooled everyone. That's what good manipulators do. I sold the townhouse last month. A young couple bought it, excited about their first home together. I hope they have the life Marcus and I pretended to have. I hope their love is real. I walked through the empty rooms one last time before closing, remembering the woman I was when I lived there. I was so trusting, so naive, so convinced that my husband would never hurt me. That woman feels like a stranger now. I've become someone else, someone harder, someone who checks the locks twice and questions everything. I don't regret who I've become. Survival changes you. It has to. If you're listening to this story and something feels familiar, I want you to pay attention to that feeling. Maybe your partner tells you that conversations never happened. Maybe things keep disappearing and reappearing in strange places. Maybe someone in your life keeps suggesting that you need help, that you're unstable, that you can't trust your own mind. I want you to know that your perceptions are valid. Your memories are real. You're not crazy. Someone might be making you feel crazy because crazy people are easier to control. Trust yourself. Document everything. Tell someone you trust. Get a second opinion from a professional you choose yourself. Check your bank accounts. Look for life insurance policies you didn't authorize. Ask questions even when they make you uncomfortable. The truth is always worth finding, even when it hurts. I lost 10 years to a man who saw me as a payday. I lost 14 months to a fog created by pills I didn't need. I lost my sense of safety, my ability to trust, and my faith in the people closest to me. But I didn't lose myself. When it mattered most, some part of me refused to believe the lie. Some part of me knew that I was not broken, that I was not crazy, that I was being hunted by the people who were supposed to protect me. That instinct saved my life. My name is Sloan. I was married to a gaslighter for 10 years. He tried to have me committed to steal my money and run away with my therapist. I caught them both on camera. I watched them get arrested in handcuffs. I took back every dollar they stole. And now I'm sitting in my own apartment with my own cat, with my own mind fully intact, telling you this story because I survived. If you're in a situation like mine, please know that you can survive too. The fog will lift. The truth will come out. And someday you'll be the one standing in a room full of people, pressing play on your own evidence, watching your abuser realize that they underestimated you. That moment is worth fighting for. Promise,